If there's one thing this industry is definitely not lacking in, it's post-apocalyptic era games, and I Am Alive is Ubisoft Shanghai's latest attempt to persuade gamers that there's still room for one more. Though originally slated as a standalone retail title, this game actually passed through several different studios in a rather lengthy development cycle before finally ending up as the last leg of Xbox Live Arcade's month-long house party promotion. Set in the fictional town of Haventon after a cataclysm known only as the Event has destroyed humanity, I Am Alive follows the story of an unnamed man on a quest to find his wife and daughter, from whom he's been separated for over a year. Though they never go into exact detail on what it was that destroyed Earth, bits and pieces of backstory eventually unfold through self-recorded video journals played out as cutscenes between story objectives.
If you found this, then that means... Anyway, if you could try to deliver this video recorder to my home. That's in Haventon, 27 Arbor Street. It's right in front of the park, and well, maybe, just maybe, someone will be there.
Extra clues, along with a number of other bonuses, can also be earned by helping any number of the 20 survivors hiding out in buildings throughout the city. The monochromatic brown color scheme is admittedly a little cliche, but the game does a good job of creating a believably desolate environment, one you definitely wouldn't want to be caught in alone. Constant earthquakes and natural disasters have ravaged the city and left a thick cloud of dust on the ground, which, if you're not careful, will drain your stamina bar and cause you to suffocate and die. Learning how to manage your stamina throughout the game actually becomes crucial as you spend a good portion of it either fighting your way through the dust or scaling tall buildings with nothing but your bare hands and a grappling hook. Though the overarching storyline centers around the search for your wife and kids, most of the actual story missions focus on reuniting May, a young girl you happen to meet in an abandoned playground, with her mother. This forms the basis of what's essentially a series of fetch quests, but with plenty of buildings to climb and enemies to keep you busy along the way. Painkillers, medkits, and other resources are lying around and can be used to give a small boost to your stamina and health, but for the most part they're scarce and meant to be used only in a case of emergency. Likewise, ammo is a precious commodity in this post-apocalyptic world, and one you'll want to conserve as much of as possible in order to deal with the territorial thugs lurking on every block. The blatant lack of resources is all part of Ubisoft's attempt to create a realistic take on the survival action-adventure genre, and in keeping with that, they've taken out almost all of the shooting and focused the core gameplay mechanic on a bluffing system instead.
Everything you see belongs to us. Now that includes you.
Hang on.
You start the game with a gun and a finite amount of ammo, and later you find a bow and arrow. What weapons you decide to use and when you use them will ultimately determine whether you live or die. Raising your gun to an opponent who only has a knife will cause them to back off, at which point you can get far away enough to shoot them with your arrow. You can then retrieve the arrow and you'll have used no resources in the process. Conversely, you also have the option to take enemies out melee style, but you definitely won't want to pull that move with multiple people in the room. To make things trickier, when you enter a room full of enemies, it's almost always guaranteed that there will be more bad guys than you have bullets or arrows. At this point, I Am Alive turns into something more akin to a puzzle game than a survival shooter, as it forces you to strategically plan your kills in other ways. It's difficult and downright frustrating at times, and if you're anything like me, you will have some rage quit moments. But if you're a patient and tactical enough person, it really shouldn't take too long to figure it all out. There are 2 difficulty modes. I played on normal, which automatically starts you off with 3 retries, which take you back to the last checkpoint when you die. Dying after you've used all of your retries will send you back to the beginning of a level, which is admittedly infuriating when you're still trying to learn the basic techniques. In addition to normal, there's also a survival mode, which starts you off with no retries, but alas, that should really be reserved for only the most hardcore of players. The campaign, which clocks in at around 6 hours total, encourages multiple playthroughs by offering a percentage score at the end. This is based on factors like the number of victims saved, the number of resources stolen from innocent people, and yes, even the amount of human flesh consumed. Believe it or not, there is cannibalism in this game, and they will penalize you for it. Despite all my frustrations, I enjoyed I Am Alive, and I think it provides a fresh and engrossing take on what many would consider to be an otherwise overused genre. It may not be the best looking game out there, but it succeeds at creating a memorable atmosphere in spite of that, one that's worth exploring and ultimately worth your time and money. I Am Alive is out now on Xbox Live Arcade for 1,200 Microsoft points, and it's set to release on the PlayStation Network this spring.